a lot of those people, and I was one of them, would spend hours and hours trying to think of what to write, what's their theme and what's their niche. And people were saying you have to have a niche. And now a lot of people say you don't need a niche. And, you know, all of these things
Mhm.
can really discombobulate you. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. And also, I want to just take a second to congratulate Claudia
Oh,
um, on your recent marriage.
thank you.
We're all
That's
very
sweet.
happy for you. And why not have something to be happy about, right?
Yeah, thank you so much. That's sweet.
Okay. Just a little bit about me. I have a background in education and learning design. As Claudia mentioned, I taught at Columbia. Um, I taught at different universities around the city before I landed um, at Columbia. Um, and that's kind of the natural way of things for most people. Um, I taught academic writing for the most part in a department that was language centered. So it was teaching English, but I was focusing on writing. Um, it was a teaching department, so people collaborated in teams of three to deliver one class every week. Um, People had 20 hours of class, so each of us would take a piece. So I kind of grew up professionally in a very kind of high powered, professional, collaborative writing environment because a lot of teaching, when you're a teaching department, is, um, well, it's hands on, but it's also materials based. So you're developing a lot of materials, critiquing each other's work, and helping each other out. So that was a great experience. And I have friends for life, from that experience.
Mm.
Um, from there, I went to a boutique learning design company who did the first set of online classes for Columbia. And we were teaching um, English in a scenario based manner to speakers, non native speakers of English. So it was really like a very unique product development and
Mm.
experience and scenario based learning. Once I got into that, it was more scripting, right? So um, I have experience in scripting and teaching and um, learning design, all of it. From in my last job, I think I've told you, Claudia, was at McKinsey, and I love that because what happened is a lot of the people that I worked with at Cognitive Arts, the learning design company, were from did go on to McKinsey. So, like maybe 10 years later, I went to McKinsey, and there I was with all of my former colleagues from Cognitive Arts. So, at McKinsey, I worked in several different departments in their learning division. And again, a lot of it was developing digital learning materials. And the last course I worked on was a scenario based course where we worked with, animators and um, a team of writers from an outside company to just really get the scripting on target. So I guess I'm finding out now
Mhm.
that I'm meant to stay teaching in one form
Yeah,
or another.
nice. Corey asked, "Hi, Corey. Nice to see you again, and thanks for being active in the chat. What is McKinsey? McKinsey is a big consulting company. Would you say, Sheri?
Yeah, global consulting.
Yeah. But not typically the first place where you would think like somebody with a writing background would go to, actually. So I was also surprised to read that, like you were at McKinsey. I think that's a very interesting side note. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great time.
Yeah. Um, our life is called writing without burnout. Like writing healthy, so having healthy habits with writing. Um, and actually, just recently, I had somebody reach out to me who said like, "Hey, he is into the financial world and he's a day trader and he trades every day, and he at the same time would like to build up his brand and his Substack and everything." Um, But he said, his eyes have to be on the trading charts literally every second of the day. And at the end of the day, when he's so tired, he says he cannot like bring himself to write something, even like tiny things, like, I don't know. And he asked me how I would deal with that, in terms of like, how do you actually develop healthy writing habits?
Yeah,
And yeah, I was thinking we could talk a little bit about that. What's your take on that?
sure. Yeah. So the system that I've developed called Notes to Post, um, the basic premise of that is you write 3 notes a week that end up being the foundation for your longer form post of the week, your newsletter. Um, but those 3 notes, the system is image based. So you work with your, photo library. I call it the memory vault. Tomorrow there's a workshop on the memory vault, but the system is really meant to help instill in you better writing habits, but without removing the creativity. So, for your trader, for example, um,
Mhm.
these are really the handrails of a weekly writing habit. And
Mhm.
what you do is you select your 3 images, and those 3 images could either help you brainstorm, illustrate, or build a theme. So they're all going to be around the same theme, and they'll each have their own topic, right?
Mhm.
So recently, I write a lot about what I call the urban jungle,
Mhm.
meaning New York City, because I live between 2 parks. So I have a very strong affinity to nature. And, sometimes I think I should be living out in the countryside somewhere, but I make the most of it. Shadow and I make the most of it, going
Yeah.
out every day. So um, one
Shadow is
way,
her dog for people who don't know.
oh, yes.
Yeah.
And you have a
Yeah.
dog too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
anyway, if you don't have ideas, so like let's say you're burnt out and you're exhausted and you don't have any ideas, you go into your photo library and you can look through your images and start brainstorming a theme for the week. Um,
Mhm.
I had taken a picture of a bird's nest on top of a traffic signal, and it made me kind of think of nature in the city. But I didn't know much. I just kind of left it there in my photo library. Um, I also had an image of a um, garden on
Mhm.
Riverside Drive, overlooking Riverside Park, but also in the foreground of a lot of brick pre-war style buildings. So I started to think of the connection between these images. And then
Yeah.
one day on our walk, shadows in my walk, I was sitting with him in front of a tree that I started to think of as, one of those trees from Tolkien, right? So I um, talked about that tree in a note that I was writing, an audio note. I wrote an audio note when I was sitting there, and then I continued it as I walked out of the park. But basically, that tree was overseeing all of the area that surrounded him. So that those 3 images were 3 separate notes
Mhm.
on one theme, and then I wrote the longer form essay like a few days later. And all in all, um, duration of writing um, was over a few days, right? But the actual time spent was just a
Yeah.
couple of hours.
Yeah. I
Does
think
that
that's
does that
cool.
explain it?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like to the question of like how, you create healthy writing habits, or how do you, find time in a day to write, I think there are a lot of different answers. But I think what you do in your system is pretty unique. Like, I haven't seen anybody talk about what you do and what you offer. So I think that's actually really cool and exciting. And I think especially for people who are, yeah, who don't know what to write about, or who have like time management problems or yeah, who are just a little bit lost in the process. I think your notes to post and the system you use that could actually really make a difference. And I think that's very cool.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, everybody likes to take pictures with their phone, right?
Hmm.
So you don't have to be an expert photographer. Um, I like to, try to get the most artistic shot I can. Sometimes it is just a snapshot. I have a series of images in my, I have set up my folders very carefully now and tags on all the photos. And that's part of what the course teaches. Um,
Hmm.
but I have a whole series called Life from Behind, and
Hmm.
I will see something that's interesting to me. Maybe I'm like walking in the park and there are people in front of me and they're wearing hats and the hats are interesting to me. And I take a picture and then, later on, a picture can become a reflection of my own life in that
Yeah.
place, right? Just by taking a picture like that. So I encourage people to be as creative as you can. But when you're trying to watch your time, you can form a habit of setting a specific amount of time each week for organizing and selecting images from your memory vault, your photo library, for writing the 3 notes. You could write the 3 notes over the weekend all at once and release them separately during the week. Or I like to work on my library on Sunday,
Hmm.
and then Monday I post notes typically. And Tuesday, I'll work on the longer form essay,
Hmm.
let it sit overnight. I do really believe in letting your longer form work sit overnight. The course contains a lot of worksheets and checklists to help you check your work, both your notes and your longer form. And then I do typically release a longer form piece on Wednesday.
Hmm. Yeah, very cool. Have you seen a lot of, I don't know how to say it, like burned out writers or writers who are stuck or, like, have you encountered a lot of people struggling with that in your life or in
I
your
think
career?
that, yeah, I mean, I I saw it both in the workplace, I saw it in higher ed, I've seen it, in a lot of the courses that I've taken myself,
Mhm.
for writing online, because
Yeah.
you have to realize, like, I came out of McKinsey and entered this world of online writing. It was totally new to me. So, a lot of those people, and I was one of them, would spend hours and hours trying to think of what to write, what's their theme and what's their niche. And people were saying you have to have a niche. And now a lot of people say you don't need a niche. And, you know, all of these things
Mhm.
can really discombobulate you, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Confuse you. So, in my mind, having a system that instills in you simple habits, 3 pictures, 3 notes, one longer form piece based on your own images. Like you don't have to go searching in a
Hmm.
stock library anymore. You could use your own images.
Yeah.
It does help the kinds of people that I have encountered
Hmm.
who spend way too much time trying to come up with an idea, trying to edit their work, without the help of an editing checklist. And yeah, the
Yeah.
answer is yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's, yeah, I feel like people, and especially on Substack, I think it's, as I said before, it's such a different approach that you offer, and I think it's very cool. Except for, I mean, I think there's lots more that you offer in your program and in your workshop. Um, what other like little tips and tricks would you recommend for people to just establish a more of a healthy writing habit? Not necessarily going into the pictures, but what else can people do?
Yeah. Well, I think that if there are a few things that I would advise, one is to really understand that you're not writing for yourself, that you are writing for an audience. And
Mm-hmm.
I've just released a checklist that is available this week for free on um, ensuring that you're attending to an audience. Again, it's just like handrails, right? So one of the things that you think of with audiences, um, just the simple question like, am I writing for an audience or am I just writing for myself? Right.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
am I establishing credibility
Mhm.
for this writing? So, why should somebody read my work on how to write? So,
Mm.
I speak about writing, in my different professional lives. Um, the other thing is, I I actually don't agree with people who say, 100%, like, just put it up there.
Mm.
I do believe
Yeah.
that you should um, have a simple editing checklist for yourself if you don't have one from an expert. And that would be to check for um, conciseness. Like, is
Mm.
this as brief as it can be
Mm.
while still being coherent and providing like transitions between ideas? Does it have a good hook?
Yeah.
These few things that I'm mentioning kind of ad hoc are all
Mhm.
part of a toolkit that you could have that would help you execute more easily, but also with more quality, attending to quality. I believe in quality, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And you believe in storytelling, right? I mean, that's one of your main slogans, and like it helps you boost your storytelling powers. And I think that's actually so many writers and so many people, not only writers, everybody needs storytelling power, if it's in your day job, if you're writing online, it's all about like people who can tell a good story, they win in life.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, storytelling is used everywhere. It's used in corporations like McKinsey, for example. They have like a
mhm.
whole group of people who are workshopping staff on storytelling who are working with their
Yeah,
experts, to their leadership, storytelling and
yeah.
leadership. I mean, you do that, right? You work with people
Mm.
who are in leadership roles to better tell their stories. So, yeah, I mean, storytelling is everywhere. And I do have this concept of bite sized storytelling
Mhm.
as a way for people who may be struggling a little bit to get started.
Mm.
Just do it, like write 90 words in a note,
Yeah.
but then look at the note. Check it.
Mm.
Does it have a good hook? Is that first line going to grab someone's attention?
Mm.
Um, and do I use description? Do I use dialogue? Um, do I have a good ending?
Mhm.
Will people be confused by this or will they get it? Just
Yeah.
little questions that you could ask yourself.
Yeah. Actually, for people listening, if you have any questions or just want to share about your writing process, I love to have those lives a little bit interactive. So if you want to tell us like something that you struggled with, or if you sometimes feel like also that you have some kind of almost like, this blank staring at a page, not knowing where to start, not knowing what to write about for short form or for long form. Uh, be brave. Let us know. I would love to, see if somebody here actually feels that way about their writing.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any questions yet. So just to keep the ball rolling, you just
Mhm.
reminded me of something that I have advised people to do on
Mhm.
Substack. But counter to what you might think, because I'm into helping people with a system and creating habits, there is one habit that is very creative that I learned when I was in my 20s or even younger than that at school. I was a creative writing minor um, when I was in college, and my major was Asian studies. But I really
Mhm.
was very interested in writing back then as well. And I had one teacher who said, just in the morning, go to your desk, write for 10 minutes without stopping. Just start with anything and keep going. And this can create a lot of material for you moving forward. What you write may not be excellent, or it might be um, something that really helps, and find your time of day that
Mm,
works for you. Um, you know, I'm actually at my most creative in terms of writing when I first wake up.
mm,
So I wake
me
up
too. Mhm,
and yeah, and I
mm,
get this cup filled with coffee. People love my
mhm.
New York Times coffee cup. Um, and I go back into bed and
Mm,
I sit there and I write, for about an hour.
wow. Yeah,
Yeah. So
that's amazing.
find your time of day, what
Mm,
works best for you.
yeah.
I have a person I admire on Substack who's part of a writing group that I run. And she had to drop the writing group because that was her time that she wanted to be like on her own, you know,
Mm,
even
yeah,
though the group is very cohesive and very um, supportive. But, so
yeah,
you need to find your time of day. Some people like to write at night.
yeah, 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 but it's good to know and good to be aware of that and just know yourself and your energy levels for sure.
Yeah.
Fantastic. We're running a little bit out of time, but I wanted to give you the chance also to just very bluntly tell people about. I know you have a workshop tomorrow, and then your notes to both products. So tell us just a bit about this, summing it up.
Right. Yeah. I have a workshop scheduled for 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Um,
10
called
a.m.
10 a.m.
Eastern time.
Eastern time.
Hmm. Yeah.
Thank you. Um,
Mhm.
you and I have to keep on reminding each other what
Yeah.
time we're talking about. So it's a workshop on using the memory vault for storytelling. It's a 90-minute workshop, and you should make sure you have access to your photo library during the workshop. Um, and I will teach you how to use photos as the basis for short pieces of writing. I'll help you with the three different ways that you could use an image. Again, that was brainstorm, illustrate, and build. And then I'll also work with you to write a note based on that image. And you'll just learn the process. And if that interests you, then on Saturday, the 4-week Notes to Post course will be launching, and that teaches you the entire process, um, very in somewhat detail, but it should only take, a couple of hours each week to complete.
Mhm. Very cool. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on and telling us about it. For people who are interested in it, I think it's a great concept that Sheri is teaching. It's super innovative. I haven't seen anybody else doing it or talking about it like this. So please go to our page, check it out. Tell people where they could get they could get access to your workshop tomorrow.
Yeah, so if you go to my page, if you go to Bite Size Storytelling or chandel.substack.com, you will see a tab for my offerings. And there you could get links to all of my different offerings. I have the workshop, I have the course, I have worksheets. Um, if you just feel like trying one of those worksheets out to see what my style is like, those are there as well. So it's Bite Size Storytelling Boost, or look for Sheri Handel. I'm the only one.
Perfect. Okay, thank you so much. This was
Thank you,
great.
Claudia.
Everybody, check her out, and we see you soon on
See you
Substack.
soon. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Hit
Thank
me
you.
up.